the finale. You've made it. You've weathered it. Here we are. We're in our last class, and where we have been is we last time we've learned some of the forms. We've pointed towards the practice of meditation. We got to know some Sangha members, and I thought where I would start was just how, well, maybe I'll start here. Let me share on my screen. This is Appamada's activities broken down by day. And you can see that, Monday through Friday, there's a morning meditation. Then there's Zazen and sharing. This is on Mondays. I've heard Wednesdays, they're no longer doing it, the Zazen and sharing. There is Soji practice, planning, and Soji is work practice. And if we have time, we may go into that today. Or if anybody has questions about Soji, we will definitely go into that today. There's also depth in practice, which is kind of really looking deeply at a Buddhist text and talking about it as a group. There's also Wednesday night, there's many different types of meditation, and so usually these are like once a month. And there's a Zen writing group on Thursday nights. Fridays, we have a little social opportunity at Cherrywood Coffee House. And Buddhist Action Now is at 1. Studio One is the group that's working on the Appamada book, I guess is kind of how I've heard it. And Sunday is sort of like where everyone, in my mind, I mean, Tuesday is an inquiry group where it's primarily it's online, and we have maybe the most participants during inquiry. And then next, I would say, is the Dharma Talk, which is in person in Austin and online, and we have a meditation and service. And at 8 a.m., we have orientation. And so, there's no expectation that when you leave here, you have that you will understand all of the forms and the practices, and none of us really may have a full understanding. So 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. is an opportunity to go through orientation. If nobody comes specifically for orientation and you have specific questions, you can talk to a teacher, a Zen mentor during that hour and say, I just don't understand, why do we do this? What is that? I'm struggling with this kind of part of the practice. So that is 8 to 9 on Sundays, and it's also Zoom or in person. Manuel.
So is that every Sunday now?
Yeah, that's changed. So we used to have orientation like on, I think it was Saturday and maybe some Tuesdays. And so now it's every Sunday, 8 to 9. And there always will be one person in the Zendo, and there'll be, I think typically like a monitor as well, like an online person. So that's a wonderful, it's just, I went to it myself to kind of learn some of the forms, so I feel like can be really helpful. And then also just your practice, if you want to talk about it. If there isn't if we have 2 people coming in for orientation, then the teacher or the mentor will be doing that. And then also at 8 to 9, you can also sit in the side room. If you'd like to meditate, you can sit in the side room as well. Okay. Good question. And then suing Buddha's robe is typically done after one takes the precepts. The precepts class will meet once per month. And these are teachings from the Buddha that we um, look at once a month and look at deeply throughout the month and then come back. And then it's kind of understanding, yeah, kind of what the foundation, I think, of our practice and where we can go over the precepts too today if we want to kind of look at it briefly. And then June 14th, one of our Sangha members and council member, Leslie, she's going to have a class on the Enneagrams. So just taking a look at this, I'm curious if anybody, I guess what I'm curious about is one, what is it that, we're doing now, or what draws us now, or what would we kind of from this list, what is that we think we'd like to do? And I can start. I typically do the morning meditation, I would say once or twice a week. And let's see here. So the Cherrywood, Leah and I went to yesterday, and I've been there a couple times. I plan to go there next week. And then the Sunday service, I've always done that. I like doing that, kind of seeing everyone. And then sometimes we'll do Central Market, we'll get together if you're in Austin. And then there's also Suing Buddha's Robe, which I have done more so prior to the practice period that I want to come back to afterwards. So that's one of my intentions, is after the practice period, coming back to that. And there is an intensive this coming Thursday to Saturday that I'm attending. And the connection support, I think, is probably the biggest thing here, is just meeting with mentors, teachers, having practice discussion. You can have practice discussion at any sort of sitting period, like in the Monday morning to Friday morning, and also on Sundays, you just raise your hand. When the meditation is going to start and they invite, would anybody would like to have practice discussion, you can raise your hand, and it's really open-ended. And so talking about your practice. So there's that. So yeah, so I wonder if there's anybody here that would kind of would like to share about what they're doing or what they would like to do. Yeah, Manuel.
So I have started going to inquiry probably in the last month, and I'd always been curious about it. But I sort of took the opportunity because Flint had been doing other things other than inquiry, and recently he led a few sessions, and by the way, the inquiry is recorded and it's available on the YouTube channel, so it's not something that you have to participate only when it's happening live. There's an opportunity to go back and watch those videos, and but it's been really great for me, especially because it's during the week, it's middle of the day, it's a really nice break from my day, and so that's something that I've really been enjoying, and I want to do all of this, but it's just trying to find balance and space for it is the challenge. But yeah, thank you for going over all of this, and yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. Leah.
Yeah, I feel the same as Manuel. Like, Emmanuel, I was, every time I look at the schedule, I'm like, oh, I want to do everything. Inquiry, I think, used to be like my favorite thing to go to. Just actually because of there's something really special about the presence, the people that attend. I think that's true for almost everything at Apamara, but inquiry feels like an especially special container. I don't know, even when it's gone online, like just I really can feel this really nourishing container without being able to put my finger on it. Now I think I'm moving into a stage with practice where I am really finding opportunities that allow me to deepen my spiritual friendship with Sangha members, to be really supportive. So I've been to a couple of times the Friday evening gatherings, and it's really special to just kind of informally connect. Practice too, the conversations that we have are really wonderful. Kim led a session one time around the dinner table where we got to share a conversational cafe style. And what's crazy is a lot of the things that that we use at Apamara, like techniques for facilitation and things like, I've used them at work before, but I was telling my husband the other day about how the quality of the presence of the people, and how because we have practice, there's this sort of curiosity and compassion that just kind of comes through. That has been probably the most enjoyable part of practice period, is when I've started to explore some of these other forms of events and gatherings at Apamara. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, inquiry is, I think it's unique. I'm not able to attend it live, but I do listen to the recordings or watch the recording. But yeah, it's something about there's a lot of presence, I think, in inquiry when somebody steps forward and there's a conversation that between two people. They haven't talked about this before, so it's fresh, and it's they're kind of taking what's happening, what's coming up. So I do like that component, I think, speaks to me too. So okay.
I can't
Yes.
figure out how to raise my hand. Since I'm absolutely new to this, I don't know where to start. And I feel like I need a teacher or somebody to tell me what to help me figure out what to do and how to approach this. It's kind of overwhelming.
I think, and with Apamata, it's kind of what stands out for me is there's just something available every day, and so like, where do you start? Especially if we're new, and I think, and I'd like to hear, because all of us have been new at some point, so we all can maybe provide some feedback here. For me, I would probably start with meeting with like a mentor, a Zen mentor, or a teacher. We have a couple of different ways to do that. I mean, one is on the Apameta website, when you go to calendar, there's meet with a teacher. And sometimes you can make a request like let's schedule something, and you send a message through the website and they'll get back to you. Or sometimes it's just the schedule is out there and you can just click a time and it'll give you a Zoom link, and you can meet that way. But I think kind of like where you're starting with Apamata, I mean, that's a really, I think we could, anyways, that's a question maybe to to explore a little more deeply, like what is calling you, what is your practice. Usually with uh, one of the things I wanted to mention is that, you know, Peg, our senior teacher, will say it's really helpful to meet with like an entrusted teacher or a mentor, just to, you know, kind of talk about what is my practice, what meditation would kind of align with where I am at this moment. And like what group, where should I start, you know, with my schedule. So finding that, I think Manuel and Leah said finding that balance. So that's what kind of comes up for me, is maybe like just having a discussion with someone about like where do I start and what practice should I start with. But that's just coming up for me. I mean, Leah, Manuel, do you have any further like when you think about how you started at Appamada, or what you would like to, how you would have liked to have started? Yeah, Manuel.
So I mean, I feel like that's it's an individual answer, but I'll tell you how I started, and that is I went to an orientation, and I've been to I may have said this last week. I went to different orientations at different sanghas at different times. Um, and I'm sorry if I'm saying something you already know, but I mean, like the meditation and the sitting is such a foundational practice to our practice, that I feel like that's a really good place to start. And I think going to an orientation and talking to a teacher or a mentor there, to understand how, you know, the forms and how we meditate, how we sit, how we prepare the space, either in the Zendo or at home to meditate, and choosing either, you know, do you meditate on your own, or do you try to make this a shared experience during one of these times that you see on the screen, whether it's, you know, during the week in the mornings, or, you know, on Sundays. Um, and for me, that's a good place to start. And then, you know, depending on your availability and your interest, I think taking advantages of some of these other time slots and different, um, I would call them modalities, right? So like, you know, you see the writing, uh, group, if that's something that calls to you. Um, you know, one thing didn't mention that I've also been involved in recently is the Buddhist Action Now group, that meets on Saturdays to explore, as you know, what can we do in terms of activism and volunteering and involvement that contributes to our practice or feeds from our practice. So yeah, I mean, I think that's really individualized and personal, like personal question. But I think, you know, orientation and sitting is a really good place to start if you're not already there.
Is the orientation, I mean, is it always in person, or is it on Zoom, or?
Yeah, orientation is both. It's both on Zoom and in person, just like this. So you can meet, you can come to the Zendo, or you can join online. And you know, last week we had one person come for orientation, and so we were, you know, there's certain things that we go over, but if you can, anyways, it can always be tailored to like what you're.
Do you need to tell somebody that you're coming, or?
No, there'll be somebody. So like this Sunday is Joel, one of our entrusted teachers, will be online, and I'll be in person. And so you don't have to tell anybody that you're coming in advance. We'll be here.
So I'm a little intimidated about the forms, and like if I came in person, would I need to remember how to walk into the room and all that, or?
So, I'm still intimidated a little by the form. I've had to learn a lot of new forms in the last 3 months, and I've done a lot of things wrong, or a lot of things that are not sort of like, yeah, the how traditionally it's done. And all of this is learning. This is a learning. Peg always said that um, our practice is a training. This is a training. We're kind of, we don't know exactly what we're training for. Like, it's not like we're training for a specific event, but it's a learning. So orientation is the best time to come and just sort of like to make all of the mistakes. Any mistakes you can make, that's the best time to do it. And even if you like, people all the time make mistakes. Now that I'm like learning the forms myself, I notice when something is done that's not what I would expect, and it's only the only reason anybody would correct is to help, so um, it isn't for any other purpose. Yeah. Oh, Leah has her hand raised.
Let me see. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. There might be a little delay. Janine, I just want to say that it is so intimidating. I remember the first time I came to the Zendo finally in person, I like broke down crying because it's kind of like between the intimidation and the like finally here feeling. It was so overwhelming. I came in with quite a bit of religious trauma, so every step I took with Appamada was over 10 years. I mean, I people ask me how did you get engaged with Appamada, and I never have the answer because I don't remember. So yesterday I looked back on my emails. I found 10 years ago I did a queerness committee when they were still doing that. And that was my first time engaging, and amazingly, it was such a deep engagement. I mean, you literally sit and share very deeply for 4 hours at someone's house with a group of people in an evening. So, and then I had such a great experience, but I didn't want to come back for a while, and then I would dabble into the what do you call it, the Tuesday inquiries, for years and years, and then just was so afraid to like come into the Zendo, and to connect deeper, because that trust factor just really had to build over time for me. It wasn't until this year that I started meeting with Zen. Well, I started coming in, and then I remember I came in on a Sunday, and Janine and Kim were there. I had no idea what to do. I didn't know how to come into the Zendo. I didn't know what the door was, which door to use. I was completely lost. And by the time I found the door and I was able to come in, it took me 30 minutes. It's almost like a metaphor. And then I came in, and Janine was just so like, she guided me every step of the way, and I could tell there was like zero judgment and zero expectation. And the whole experience was just so healing for me, to somehow I just felt like, oh, they don't need me to be anything or anyone, or even they don't even need me to come. They're just meeting me in this moment, and somehow the way they approach me said all of that. So I just wanted to share that experience, because after that, then I was just like, I want to do everything, It's all like this. And then I finally met with a Zen mentor, Rosemary, And this is what I brought to her the first time we had tea on Zoom. I said, I want to do everything, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what any of this stuff is about. And she very patiently asked me about what's calling me, and we kind of dug into what I'm looking for right now. And then I just, she really guided me through it. So I just wanted to share those experiences because I definitely feel what you're talking about, the intimidation part. So that's it.
Thank you.
Um, hmm. Well, I'm curious. So, Jeannie, like, about, like, yeah, I mean, so you touched upon like an important point, like just sometimes the forms can be a little intimidating and coming in. Um, I remember what you said in I think it was our first class, that I I'm here because, like when I was traveling, um, and I saw such joy, went to kind of like a Buddhist populated area, and there was such joy there, and that's what kind of what brought you here. Am I recalling correctly?
Well, I had yes, you are recalling, but that's not really what brought me here. I've for years I've read, and I used to sometimes listen to recordings and things like that. But I've just never had the something to get into. I'm looking for what one of the people the first time said they wanted a theist spiritual life. And so that's what's always appealed to me about Buddhism. And so actually, I look at the calendar all the time, and I saw this class, and I thought, I can do this. It's not at 6 a.m, and it's on Saturday, and it's easy for me to do this. So I just did it. That's what brought me to this class. And I'm hoping now that this class can have brought me. I'm thinking maybe I should do some things online, and that before I go into the Zendo. I did go once, years and years and years ago, and I don't even remember what it was, but it was at night, and it's just too hard for me to travel at night across. I live in South Austin, and so with all of these Zoom things, it makes everything easier to do, But on the other hand, I would like to see people in person. So I'm going to try to come to orientation, but I thought maybe I might do it online first, so I get an idea of what goes on, like testing the water before you jump in.
That's the visual I have, is just like, and it sounds like, yeah, you've had a lot of study and and self-study, and kind of like you've and now we're at this practice point of kind of like coming into community and noticing kind of what is coming up. Yeah, well, thank you for sharing. And that, I think, kind of, I was talking to Leah yesterday at Cherrywood, the coffee house here, and she said, Jess, you have to talk about like the relationality, of like in Appamada, there's this relational Zen, and and so she mentioned that there was a talk given a couple months ago, and so I think kind of where we are in this discussion, let me read a little bit from it. So this is from the book that Peg and others are helping with to kind of write about the story of Appamada. So let's see here. Okay. You may be wondering, what is relational Zen? Flint, another senior teacher, and I didn't know yet. We had to find out. I'm going to take my glasses off because it's kind of small. We had to find our way using what we knew, our felt sense, and our observations of what was emerging for individuals and for the Sangha. We couldn't rely on the templates and models we had trained in, but we had a shared sense of how we wanted to work, a devotion to the Dharma, and of course, our vow. The evolution of the Sangha became our ordinary life, yet it has also been an exhilarating adventure. We began with a sketch of a definition. Relational Zen means waking up and growing up together in the Dharma. But what does that mean? And could it even be called Zen? After all, Zen in the popular imagination, and even among many practitioners, has been seen as a solitary endeavor, a spiritual journey inward in solitude, silence, stillness, and stoicism. Meditation is considered an individual practice. This view is both isolated and isolating. Although partially accurate, it is incomplete. This chapter provides a counter narrative to that common view. And Peg had said that she practiced on her own for 23 years. So she practiced on her own for 23 years before she kind of stepped in. So I think so anyways, that's, yeah. She quotes Thich Nhat Hanh, who says, "In my tradition, we learn that as individuals, we cannot do much. That is why taking refuge in the Sangha, taking refuge in the community, is a very strong and important practice. As individuals, we cannot do much." When I say I take refuge in the Sangha, it doesn't mean that I want to express my devotion. It's not a question of devotion, it's a question of practice. Without being in a Sangha, without being supported by a group of friends who are motivated by the same ideal and practice, we cannot go far. The presence of a Sangha is a wonderful opportunity to allow the collective energy of the Sangha to penetrate into our body and consciousness. We profit a lot from that collective energy. We can entrust ourselves to the Sangha because the Sangha is practicing and the collective energy of mindfulness is strong. So that's Thich Nhat Hanh, and it kind of also, reminds me of Leah, what you were saying about kind of stepping into the Sangha a little bit more in this practice period. Maybe we can take a little time here and do a meditation. So I'm going to I'll be right back. I'm just going to get the bell. And this is a guided meditation. So that means, sometimes there's a lot of different forms of meditation, and this is one that I practiced like over 6 months. Peg was talking about it during a certain period. And she also says that this is sort of like her runway before she practices this other form called Shikantaza. So I'm going to invite the bell, and then we'll do this together. And just noticing kind of like being here, sometimes, your attention may float wherever it is. And the one thing I love from the book, where I showed that picture of like the thinker and in a previous class, and then Zazen position is, the title of the book is Opening the Hand of Thought. So I would always sort of like, I was like, okay, I got to be present. I got to be like focusing on my breath. And when a thought would come, I think I would sort of like push it out, like let it go, but like let it go forcefully. And I love that analogy I love that visual of just like opening the hand, just opening the hand. So the thought comes, and when we have a little more freedom, we can kind of open that hand, and a thought can float, another thought can come in, and then our mind will tend to grasp, and we can always like let go. So anyways, I'll start this, and this is the Anapanasati Sutta, otherwise known as the mindfulness of breathing, that origins came from the Buddha, and it relates to joy. Here, gone to a quiet place, one sits down, having either our feet on the floor or our legs crossed. And we can keep the body erect. As if our body were suspended from the top of our head, and the rest of it relaxes downwards. And even thinking of like a string kind of pulling at the top of our head, and the rest of it relaxes downwards. Our body is like a flexible tree in the wind, though we do not continuously shift. We can be aware of our whole body to ensure our body is erect, our body is grounded. The posture of our mind is to be realigned whenever it is lost, just like our body. After aligning our body, invite an intention to align the mind to the present moment by relaxing any tendency to distraction. We establish mindfulness to the forefront. We can establish motivation. We can say something such as, "May I progress on the path to liberation for my own benefit and for others." This reminder can help us when we're lost. Often when our body takes a deep breath, a short breath will follow. And so we're just noticing our breath here. Mindful one breathes in, mindful one breathes out. Breathing in long, one understands I breathe in long. Breathing out long, one understands I breathe out long. We can take a deep breath. Sort of notice the long breath. Notice how the breath can naturally become a little bit shorter, a little softer. Breathing in short, one understands, I breathe in short. Breathing out short, one understands, I breathe out short. Our mind is attuned to our breath. One trains, experiencing the whole body, I shall breathe in. One trains, experiencing the whole body, I shall breathe out. We still notice our breath on the periphery. One trains, calming bodily activity, I shall breathe in. One trains, calming bodily activity, I shall breathe out. Calming means letting go of anything that might prevent a deepening of calmness. We may feel a relaxation, and if we don't feel a calmness, we can invite the aspiration of it. May calmness arise. One trains, experiencing joy, I shall breathe in. One trains, experiencing joy, I shall breathe out. We can join the focus of our breath with that subtle, pleasant feeling tone of knowing we're in the present moment, right here. Noticing subtle bubbling up or manifestations of joy reinforces the joy that has arisen. May joy arise. So, um, if anyone would like to share anything that um, came up for them. Manuel.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, we've been talking about joy for a while, it feels like. Um, and I don't know, I think someone said during a recent during a talk um that they'd been experiencing a lot of loss and grief and hardship, and they were being invited to think about joy, and it just seemed um challenging, or like the opposite. And so I don't know, like sometimes it feels like we need to manufacture the feeling, but what I felt today was more of a sense of the feeling is there and the opportunity for joy is there, and we just need to be open to it, and we need to let it in. Um, and for some reason, I really felt that today in a way that I hadn't felt or noticed before.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was really interesting. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I like to, like I think Flint said once, like it's not, it's like, like there's suffering exists. And, but then sometimes we think this is my suffering, like I'm suffering, right? And it hit me, and my interpretation of what he was saying is that there's just suffering in the world. I mean, suffering is going to be here. And so then for me, it's like, well, also joy is here. If we notice it, it's here. Um, and this can be a practice. Uh, I will share, I didn't want to share that. I wanted to share this. Did it change? Are you able to see the Anapanasati?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Um, so this is this is 16 steps, and this is like um, these are the steps. Yeah. So, and we did steps. The first four steps are the body, um, and focusing on the body, and then the next ones are focusing on feeling. And so we went to step 5. Um, and joy, the way that this is written is that joy is sort of like it's a I don't know exactly how to put it, but it's a little stronger experience than happiness. Like joy, like the waves are a little bit, they're moving a little bit more, and then they kind of calm down more with happiness. So it's like a settling. And then we move from these feeling states to noticing our mental activity. So the goal is not to like just be happy. There's a lot of things that we can do to try to be happy, like in the world, like we could go to the gym, we could do, I don't know, we could do a list of things. Like I think here the goal, like, anyways, the practice can be liberation. So, and that's the final step here is, contemplating letting go. Another form of letting go could be thought of as like liberation. Contemplating liberation, I breathe in, like that kind of letting go, freedom. So the Buddha, he had this other he had this other sutra, and it was very heavy, and it was kind of talking about impermanence, and a lot of the monks felt it was very overwhelming, and it affected their mood. Um, so, um, so he rethought how he did things, and the way that I see it is like we want to have a strong foundation of body, of feeling before we contemplate these things such as impermanence, dispassion, cessation. Like, like could be cessation can be thought of like as the cessation of suffering, but also cessation of like life ends. Um, and so. So this gives me some practice. I mean, this is the way that I have thought about it lately, is that, our body, our, we, our body is a foundation of joy, like if our body is tense and rigid and all of that. So the way that this flows kind of is how I take it. So anyways, this is a practice, and there's this author, Anna Leo, who wrote a book, Mindfulness and Breathing, who he goes very much deeply into this, and he has guided meditations in his on his website. He's a monk, so I thought I would share that. Okay. So yeah, I mean, to kind of wrap up here, I think for me the goal of this introduction to Zen is to hopefully foster like a feeling of comfort, more comfortable a little bit with the forms of the practice of appamada, and hopefully this is more of an invitation to continue our practice, yeah, so that's my hope. What from the group, I'm curious, when you think about your experience in these classes, what stays with you? Like, what are your takeaways? Manuel.
So I'm new at the practice, but I feel like even at the stage of the practice that I'm in, it feels like there's always an opportunity to learn and to deepen, um, and and I feel that in a way that doesn't feel like intimidating. It doesn't feel tiresome or exhausting, or what it just feels like a lifelong opportunity, right? And so yeah, so that's I guess it's not a very succinct or clear way to express it, but yeah, it's I think you said during your first talk that this has been around for 2,500 years, right? And so there's been lots of writing and lots of contemplation and lots of practice, and we're all experiencing a taste of it, and that taste is endless, and yeah, that feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
I have something to say, but I can't find where the hand is so that I can I'm on my iPad. Is that a problem?
Yeah, no problem. Well, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I guess um, this has certainly encouraged me to try to become part of of a, a group. I mean, it seems to me that it's really important that you have a community, that you don't just do it by yourself. I'm not Peg. I can't do 20 years by myself. Um, you know, when you asked me about what about why I was interested in whatever, I didn't say it, but I know I remember now that I got started because of Flint. I used to see him at Seton Cove all the time,
Uh-huh.
and I just thought he was wonderful, you know, and really, really incredibly wonderful. And then we have some mutual friends that always talked about him and Peg. So yeah, I mean, you know, when I came years ago, it was probably 15, I don't know, I was intimidated and I felt like I was an outsider. And I came, it was supposed to be 6 weeks or something, and I came like twice and then didn't ever come back. So I don't want to do that again. So, um, you know, I can't remember, I don't remember what the thing was called. It could have been, I don't know. You know, we did sitting and we did writing and we did all sorts of different things. So anyway, I'm going to be more aggressive and not be intimidated so much. So,
Yeah. I mean, well, I remember, like I always say like, oh, I came in 2019, but I actually came in 2012. I came to an inquiry, and it was Flint doing the inquiry here, and I went to a few of them, and I just, at that time, I just didn't understand it. Like my rational mind, I was just like, what is this? And I didn't come anyways, I didn't come for a long time. And so I think I was telling that to Darcy, one of our Sangha members, and it's like everybody comes, it's at whatever time, what is that saying? When the student is ready, like we just come when we're ready to come. And also, Jeannie, like, absolutely, like you can definitely like join on Zoom for orientation, and just so you know, like, when you decide to come in person, if you decide to come in person, or when you decide to come in person, if you'd like me to be there with you, like to walk in with you and to do whatever
yes.
I'm absolutely happy to do that. There's no, I have no, yeah, that would be lovely. I'd love to share that experience, and we can definitely do that. And we can kind of go through it however you like. Like if you just want us to go through it first before there's other people, or however you like it, but we can do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, and my email is in the kind of the I send emails out, so
Yeah,
email me.
I have that.
Okay, well, we are at the end. Thank you all for coming and joining me in this. And I want you all to know there's mentors and teachers and more knowledgeable people, more experienced people than I. So there's a lot more people to sort of reach out to, like when we have questions, and I'm here as well. So um, thank you all.
Thank you, Jess.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Thank you.